Okay. That's not supposed to happen. Let's try again. Evening, folks. So, we've got a well-defined Bitcoin pivot. Actually, the pivots for trend rejection are really well-defined. We can still remain in a downtrend up to 8,600. If we were to see that upward move there and a rejection, I would be very much inclined to short. I do have alerts set to trigger around this price range. I am waiting and ready for the rejection at that pivot. However, if we go any higher above that pivot, then we enter a longer term mean reversion condition, which would be a bullish scenario. If we're in a bullish scenario, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. It defines a range from 10,750 to 8,600. So if we break that 8,600 support tonight, resistance, excuse me, we would see longer term compression and lateral trading, which would be very bullish for Bitcoin short term and midterm, because it means the downtrend would be over. And the amount of required force to resume a downtrend that has already ended would be very high. So in all reality, if bears want to keep control of Bitcoin, they are going to need to see a major rejection of this pivot here and a subsequent downtrend. And if bulls want to, keep the uptrend going, at least the macro level uptrend, they are going to need to activate this mean reversion condition, which is just the purple band. Just the fact that we have the compression range and the 1.25 standard deviation of the locks lining up right now, I do think the short is the safer position if we do get that perfect alignment, okay? As far as quad CCI goes, we have no significant weighting. This is a very neutral quad CCI. It's just the longer term trend on the 2-hour chart does heavily imply down. 4-hour chart's going to be a lot of the same because we still have relative lookbacks. The mean reversion pivot's going to be roughly around that same mark, 8,600, and compression range should still be holding likewise as well. Yep, compression range is exactly the same. Up here on the 4-hour, defining that about $200 higher, $150 higher. But that's actually due to volatility overhead here. If we look at 3D Wave PM, you'll notice that we're highlighting on the 350 period when it's actually the 250 period here, right? Because that's the connected plume of mass. So if we were to manually draw that in, how much you bet it's going to be right at 8,600? I think it's pretty good. Let's take a look. Yep, 8,550, so $50 off. That's really good for 3D Wave PM, especially because we're not getting exact values since this is logarithmic scaling on a lower resolution, whereas ACAT uses much higher interval to define price, or to define our mean reversion pivots. So, really simple chart today. It's either make or break. Would not be surprised if we actually define that sometime tonight or tomorrow. I got my fingers crossed. Not a lot I can do until then, okay? ADX is really flying today. I did see it start at only 20% upside. So, yeah. Typically you don't see pumps this sustained, which is curious. Oh well. You never know. I know Link is still in significant uptrend. We can take a look at that real quick. Yeah. All right. So actually, let's look at the macro. Let's zoom out and just look at standard Bollinger Bands. Yeah, that does imply parabola. It is very aesthetic. If I recall correctly, we are tagging the 3.2 of the 50, and we are seeing lateral short-term trading. So I would not consider this ideal location to enter Link. However, it might be worth holding on. Boop, boop. All right, let's just switch this to 200. Beautiful. Nice. Yeah, so quad CCI, we are overexpanded on that 50 period. Yeah, it's actually an active mean reversion condition on the 50 period as well. And you can see that rejection right there. So I would actually be in a short-term short. I would expect us to trade laterally in this compressing 50 band for quite some time, at least for the next 24 hours. So we should get some sideways movement here. I got a new comment. Probably need more indicators. Uh-oh. Whew. I got a good response to that. Every single indicator on this chart is a derivative of a Bollinger Band, just measuring different metrics of said Bollinger Bands. Yep. Everything on this chart is derivative of a Bollinger Band. Yep. 3D Wave PM is just a heat map of 32 different periods of Bollinger Bands, measuring the relative distributional width based on the previous 100 candles. And then we can determine if they're overexpanded or highly compressed to determine potential energy. If you're ever familiar with a Bollinger Band squeeze, this is essentially that, but defined as a huge heat map across a bunch of different periods. Wave PM is just that as an oscillator, but for 4 periods, it can be used for general compression and crosses. CCI is a mean absolute deviation representation of a Bollinger Band on the 1.25 standard deviation. So these just, again, 4 periods of Bollinger Bands, but instead of measuring distributional width, we are measuring location on the Bollinger Band. 0 is the mean. 100 is the 1.25 standard deviation. Negative 100 is the negative 100.25 standard deviation, right? So if you look at the 200 period here, this is going to be really cool. You're going to like this. All right. So, purple band, purple line up on CCI. Boop. Beautiful. All right, so when we go outside the 100 period, right there, wow, on the CCI, above the 100 value, that is the exact same time we go above the 1.25 standard deviation of the Bollinger Band. Wow. So they're actually, I'm very inclined to say quad CCI is a little redundant if you know what you're looking for. Although the visual of trend can be very useful objectively from price action. And just using quad CCI in terms of, well, like 4 Bollinger Bands on your chart is a lot uglier than just 4 CCL lines. And actually, one thing I'm inclined to do is take off the 50 and 200 period, so that way there's no redundant information. Because then we have 2 Bollinger Bands here for the 50 and 200s, and then we have 14 and 100 over here on the CCI. However, I do like to have, that's actually pretty good, because that's usually what we use for Wave PM crosses. But we're about to get really meta if I keep this up. So, that's the entire thought for tonight. Been a pleasure. There's probably no YouTube comments. It's really late. I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow at hopefully 1 p.m. MST. I am in the middle of a move. I am packing, and I am stressed. I just want to get it over with. Everything will be back in normal operations on the 10th with a nice video camera, good lighting, and a green screen, and my business suit. So, like an actual business suit, not like the slang for a business suit. Oh my God. All right, I love you. Bye.